important. We are looking at challenges and digital transformation related to sustainable development and human rights in Africa. We are going to be led on this panel by Khalid Boudali, who is the Deputy Presiding Officer with African Union ECOSOCC. We also welcome Lydia HAGAN. Lydia HAGAN is a course director with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, who do vital work in Africa. We also welcome Hagar Monsif, who is the North African representative for the United Nations NGOs major group, Africa, as well as being an SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals Unit Manager. We also welcome Stephane, who is the head in the African Union ECOSOCC. Alors, on continue avec ce sujet tellement important. On continue.
Good afternoon. My name is Khalid Boudali. I'll be your moderator today for this session. Today we have amazing and incredible topic and incredible speakers. Honorable Patson Malissa, Deputy Presiding Officer of the ECOSOCC, Economic, Social and Cultural Council of the African Union, has expressed his sorrow and submit his apologies to you all for not able to make and attend this meeting for medical reasons, suffering from a viral infection, and it's become so severe that he was immediately seeking medical care in the hospital. So we wish him, in your behalf, we wish him a quick recovery and he can come back to us. Our panel today is topic, Sustainable Development, Human Rights in Africa, Challenge in Digital Transformation. And let's get started with the panelist introduction. Please allow me to introduce Ms. Lydia Yamoah, Course Director, Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Welcome, Madam. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Ms. Hagar Monsif, African Affairs and SDGs Unit Manager, North African Representative at the UN NGO Major Group for Africa, Maat for Peace, Developments and Human Rights. Thank you, Ms. Hagar, for being with us. Thank you very much. And we have our dear friend, Honorable Stephane Ngomat, Chair of a Peace and Security Cluster, the Economic, Social and Cultural Council of the African Union. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for being with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're honored to see you again one more time. Well, on behalf of the Steering Committee, I have the honor to welcome you and to thank you for your participation, taking part of the first Africa Black Week Summit, virtual summit, co-organized by Marita Holding Group and Exchange Group, Marnex, in collaboration with Morocco ECOSOCC National Chapter, and Human Resource Science and Technology Cluster. That with the objective of discussing the latest trend in the sector and future innovation, knowing that digital transformation is the key to development in Africa and that blockchain remains the alternative for millions of unbanked Africans. And as you all know, that the world is undergoing technological developments in an unprecedented and explosive pace, considered the fourth industrial revolution. That's good for Africa. This exceptional growth will fundamentally alter the way people's life, work, and relate to one another. Always our target is to build a comprehensive platform that will bring a global community to this virtual event, building partnerships, educate the African community of best practices, technological advancements, bringing inbound investments organically through Africa in global partnership. Let's kick off this conversation and let's start with Ms. Lydia Yamoah from Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. With your permission, of course. Madam, human rights create the essential condition for sustainable development. The 2030 agenda recognizes that inclusive and participatory economy, as well as societies whose government uphold the principle of accountability, are more beneficial for all population and allow no one to be left behind. which is good. I mean, at least we see that progress. Civil society, cultural events, economic, politics, and social rights, as well as the right to development, are mutually reinforcing and progressing together. Miss, what do you think? What are the challenges, the digital transformation that can be used for sustainable development and protecting human rights?
Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Khalid. Yes, I am Lydia Yamoah HAGAN from the KIPTC Accra. I tried to put a small PowerPoint together. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Oh, okay. I've been disabled from sharing. Can the host allow me to share? Is it possible? Otherwise, for me, looking at 7 minutes, I thought I couldn't touch on all the 17 SDGs, but at least I tried to look at 3 main ones, which borders on poverty, education, and health. So for me, one second, please. All right, so in terms of how to end poverty, the SDG Goal 1, which says end poverty in all its forms everywhere, where the targets include the eradication of extreme poverty, implementation of social protection measures, and ensuring equal access of men and women to economic resources. In relation to human rights, we can look at this to the rights where it says everyone has the right to adequate standard of living. And this is underpinned by the UDHR Article 25 and 11, and also the right to social security. And the third one being the right to equal rights of women in economic life. Looking at digitization of these areas, for me, I think if people are empowered with economic resources or are empowered with softwares that help the kind of businesses they do, then it is very helpful. But if we look at Africa, we all know that access to internet in the first place is a challenge for most of our African countries. The few of us who are located even in the cities struggle with stability issues. And so if we want to really make everybody part of this effort, then access in the first place, or the infrastructure, the internet infrastructure in itself, is an issue to look at. And then the access to internet, because we all agree that if we want to look at the opportunities and the challenges, they are enormous. I would like to look, for instance,
Madam, you can share, I think we have a link so you can share your presentation with us.
Okay. I tried uploading it and it says not allowing. Okay. So, okay. So I tried to look at the Goal 1, Goal 3, and Goal 4, which are the end to poverty. This is what I was trying to read out to you. And so moving on to Goal 3, which is for health, healthy lives, and promote well-being for all. In terms of its human rights, it targets the reduction of maternal mortality, trying to end preventable diseases and deaths, trying to end or reduce HIV/AIDS, and then provide universal health coverage, affordable and essential medicines, sexual and reproductive health care, and also vaccines, to research into medicines and have access to vaccines like we are doing with COVID-19, for instance. Now, if I want to relate this to our human rights, I have stated a number of articles or declarations which underpin them, but this helps us in realizing the right to life, the right to good health, the right to special protection for mothers and children, then the right to the enjoyment and benefits of scientific progress in its application. Also, the International Cooperation, Article 28. Now, for me, in terms of digitization, where do we look at, or where do we come from? A lot of hospitals or modern hospitals are trying to advance medicine through electronic means or over the internet. Now, electronic records keeping is helpful for us because it will help us to do a lot of projection and analysis. It gives us an opportunity to be able to analyze and understand the trends of diseases we are having these days and what kind of treatments that are working, or what we should improve upon and what we should stop doing. So that's what electronic health access gives to us. And then in terms of even the procurement of medical supplies, if you have an appropriate software, you are able to procure the most appropriate or the most beneficial technology for health improvement anywhere around the world, just with a click of a button or with the medical networks that we have available. In terms of even financial improvement and accounting, if you use the appropriate software, you are able to track your expenditure. You are able to track which diseases or which kind of medical health access are the most expensive, or which ones are the cheapest, or which ones are the most accessible. How can we make the ones that are not accessible more accessible to those who need it? And so in terms of procurement and down the value chain, you are able to do a lot of forecasting and forecast into the future, and are able to solve a lot of problems at a glance of one analytical sheet, which is provided by the digital platform. Now, if you fall on something like the ERP, it's a holistic system which helps the bigger medical organizations or the bigger hospitals to take into consideration from records up to the treatment and even the after patient relationship. So there's a lot we can benefit from digitizing health access. And then I want to also briefly look at education. Now, the goal 4, which says it wants to ensure an inclusive and equitable quality education and promotes lifelong learning opportunities. In terms of its human rights, it targets to include universal access to free quality primary education and secondary education, to improve vocational skills and equal access to education, and to expand also to for education facilities, for scholarships, and for training of teachers who are then going to provide these education. Now, in terms of its related human rights or its related legal underpinnings, this is in relation to the right to education, right of women and girls in the field of education, the right to work, including technical and vocational training, the right to work, including technical and vocational training, and the international cooperation. Now, in terms of digitization, COVID has taught us a lot. We realized that when the lockdown came, we couldn't do much. So after brainstorming for a while, digitization or e-learning or the e-platform were the way to go. So for instance, most of the tertiary institutions or the secondary and the upper education levels resorted to the online learning, where people took courses online, people took their exams online, digital textbooks. We now read a lot of our books and materials from the internet, online resources, and then different learning management system. For instance, the Kofi Annan uses a learning management system, which is an all-encompassing. It has a session for interacting with the students and giving them materials to read, feedback session and an exam session. And then it has an evaluation aspect where you get an opportunity to evaluate the training in whole. And so digitization is the way to go, yes. But we also realize that there are lots of challenges, especially at Africa, even though there are lots of opportunities. What are some of the opportunities we can talk about? These include lower costs. Now imagine that we were going to have this meeting physically, and you were to invite 50 people to attend this meeting. You were going to write 50 letters and post to 50 different organizations in perhaps 50 different countries. But you realize that you could write one single email to all of us with just a click of the button, and we have all received the email, and we are talking today virtually. So this is one wonderful opportunity that digitization offers us. Now, in terms of access, you are able to reach many, thousands, millions in a split of a second. And so it gives you a wider or a larger outreach in a very short time, which for me is very efficient and encourages the speed of work in the business world. Now, if you look at the kind of things we are doing today, talk about mobile banking or having banks as an app on your phone. Sometimes I'm able to transact monetary transactions as late as midnight, 12, because I'm busy the whole day and I need to make some payments. Because I have my bank as an app on my phone, I'm able to make payments even in midnight or weekend when I don't have to travel to go and make physical payments. So this makes life easier and better. It brings a better client relationship. And even in pandemic time, we are still able to work. And so these are some of the wonderful opportunities digitization can offer us as far as our human rights are concerned and our development in the continent are concerned. But we can't lose sight of the fact that we have some challenges. And a few challenges I would want to mention or bring to our attention include the fact that the infrastructure itself is a challenge to a lot of countries in Africa. Yes, a few countries are advanced, they may have the internet access, they may have the softwares available, but a lot more countries do not have these opportunities. So access to internet, even if you have in Africa, is very expensive. I give you an example. When I travel to the United States, I'm able to use $10 data to carry me one whole month. But when I'm here in Accra, in Ghana, sometimes by the end of the month, I use about $100 or $150 worth of data when I have to do trainings online, when I have to do meetings online, when I have to do virtual conferences and webinars like we are doing. And so access and cost are an issue in Africa. And this is something we may want to address if we really want to improve development and improve our human rights as a continent. Then another thing which we also don't do very well with is the upscaling of skills. You know that when we decide to move digitally, we need to carry our staff or our people along. And so the people who are working in the organization where you decide to digitize, you need to give them training or orientation or transform their skills from manual to digital. This all includes a calculated effort and some amount of money which people in Africa do not necessarily plan for, except a few. Then I would also want to talk about security issues on the internet. Yes, we are all happy to have these wonderful facilities working for us, but the bad people will not stop attacking us. In terms of security, there are people who are stealing from us. Put your credit card online to buy something and people are hacking in to steal your money already. So there's fraud to deal with, there is cyber crime to deal with, and there's a lot of hacking in Africa, especially in West Africa, as you may already know from the research and data available. Then not all the countries are on the same level when we talk about the SDGs. I doubt whether all of the countries by 2030 would have been able to realize all the goals. So I don't know, even though it is said that this was more consultative, more inclusive, and more universal, I think it is not there yet. We still need to carry along those of the countries which are lagging behind, which are far behind, which need the opportunity to be brought to the fold so that all of us are able to embrace this digitization or digital transformation holistically. So in a nutshell, this is what I've put together. I will be happy to take any questions which may come up. I hope I made some sense in the short time I've spoken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam, for this wonderful and useful presentation. It's made the topic clear, benefiting from your endless rich experience, enlightening our honorable audience. Thank you very much, Madam. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Ms. Hagar Monsif, please, business actors effectively apply the guidance principles of business and human rights, state, business, civil society, in the key actors work strategically to apply and integrate the guidance, the guiding principle into national, regional, and international legal in operational frameworks relevant to business and other economic actors, as well as in business practice. What are the challenges, Ms. Hagar, in digital transformation that can be used for sustainable development and protecting human rights?
Thank you so much, Mr. Khalid, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be within such a high-level panel discussing this unique topic that merges between what I usually say, the essential triangle of the era: human rights, sustainable development, and technology. If I may start by saying, if you looked at school children today, who's considered to be the future generation, you will see the attachment to technology that they do have, which can be considered as a source of hope. And as you mentioned, and Madame Lydia mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic has definitely assured the importance of speeding the digital transformation into the different aspects of our daily lives. And on the top of them, the importance of financial technology and the importance of that to business development. I was really happy as an example when I visited Uganda recently and found out that even street vendors, they are using mobile money transfer. That was fascinating to acknowledge, actually. And that gave me hope. But let me look closer to Africa and give some small hints that may sound dark, but let us agree, highlighting the problem is the first step to solve it. So I will not mention the ability to create new technologies or even acquire digital transformation. I just will mention the incapability to adapt to new technologies, which is now a critical requirement for implementing sustainable development goals. Various international forums and agreements on technology access and technological capacity building have recognized the importance of transfer of technology, especially to developing countries. However, it is a well-documented fact that the African continent has not kept pace with technological advancement. Africa's technological gap could be the source of its decreasing economic development because other developing regions are constantly upgrading their own technological capabilities, and the global marketplace has become increasingly liberalized and competitive. And this was stated in the report by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development on Africa. And Agenda 2030 stressed on the importance of providing affordable technological solutions and technology transfer as a vital factor for implementing the whole agenda, and especially mentioned that in Goal 17, targets 17.6 and 17.7. Thus, the absence of the required digital transformation has resulted in a series of challenges to the African countries on a double level. On one hand, violations to basic human rights as poverty, health, nutrition, education, infrastructure, and others, employment, of course, and others. And on the other hand, lateness in implementing Agenda 2030. And human rights and sustainable development are like a one body. You cannot promote one without promoting the other. And that is why the challenge is on a double level, as I mentioned. If you're asking me specifically about challenges, I may highlight the essential ones. And I would agree with Madame Lydia on many points that she's mentioned. And I would humbly add, number one, data. African countries do not possess required technologies and data collection mechanisms to have an updated data for crucial indicators of sustainable developments. Even household surveys are irregular. Their scope, comprehensiveness, quantity, quality, they vary widely. Number two, the governance. Does the government have effective digital services and regulations in place? Even with some efforts raising awareness on digital use, it is rare in the in Egypt. We recently started to see TV ads by famous actors motivating citizens to use mobile money transfer. But still, farmers in remote areas do not absorb or cannot absorb the idea of not having the money in their own hands. So the idea even is totally new. Number three, the basic infrastructure, as Madam Lydia mentioned. Does the country have reliable basic infrastructure such as internet connectivity and mobile network, as well as electricity supply? Like, I personally recall having serious challenges in the NGO Major Group Africa due to the internet connectivity and electricity supply, especially in the West and Central Africa. So this is like a main point that we could not connect because of. And number four, the online freedoms. Madam Lydia talked about the security, and I totally agree. But how about the online freedoms? Does the government allow for free speech and online exchange? As an example, nowadays in Europe and under the EU programs, youth can earn a whole exchange program and widen their perspectives, where just they are sitting at home and exchanging activities with other youth from different backgrounds and thoughts. African youth still lack that, which affects the triangle of the human rights and sustainable development because of technology and digital technology. I would also like to stress on the wide difference, not only between the African countries in one continent, but even within different regions in one country. So all the challenges that I've been mentioning vary differently in Africa. But let me conclude by some bright, hopeful comments. So, however, and although all the challenges that we've been mentioning, Africa has multiple advantages over other regions in developing a technology-based economy life. As an example, the continent has the youngest population in the world with an average age of 19.5, meaning that there is a large population of young people looking for a chance to break into the technology industry. Let us also look to the bright side. Because of the continent's late entry into the global tech economy, African tech companies can learn from the early mistake of other tech hubs by passing outdated infrastructures such as landlines, branch banking, and directly adopting mobile phones or mobile money. Technology is not just good for technology industry, as many countries has discovered. One can apply tech to multitude of industries. Technology revolutionizing education in Africa through digital books and online classes with global universities. Even there is an app called iCow. This app helps farmers manage their cattle population. African attending churches services online. This will solve problems of limited religious resources in smaller countries. Additionally, mobile phones and increased connectivity in responding to crises like Boko Haram kidnappings in Nigeria. So if I finally can say something, because I know we're running out of time, I can say that new technology has already been a profound effect on both commercial and social industries. And this will definitely lead to implementation of sustainable development and promoting human rights, hopefully. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Hagar, for this valuable and distinctive intervention. It's an addition and an enrichment to this important topic, always with sophistication, distinction, and beautiful creativity. Thank you very much, my dear. Thank you. Honorable Rolf Stephane, Head of Peace of Security Cluster at the ECOSOCC, African Union. Governments, Mr. Chair, government, national institution in human rights and civil society encourage the integration of human rights, not only the right to development, the integration of human rights in the process or the objectives of sustainable development. Let me just quote His Excellency Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Moroccan Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Nasser Bourita, has said, the need of Human Rights Council to pay special attention to the impact of new technology on human rights. And then he added the role of Human Rights Council in promoting a human rights-based approach in relation to new and emerging technology. The current pace of digital innovation exceeds the ability of states to manage their potential societal impact. Mr. Chair, what are the challenges in digital transformation that can be used for sustainable development and protecting human rights at the same time?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Khalid, for bringing us on board and to speak on this important subject on technology and also related to human rights, as well as to security issue in Africa. Because as you know, my name is Stephane Ngomat. I'm the chairperson of Peace and Security Cluster of the African Union, ECOSOCC. I'm also a diplomat and also an expert in international relations. So I would like, first of all, to thank you, Brother Khalid, for convening this. Also to thank the sponsor who accepted to accompany and to host this great initiative of the African Week, especially Marita Group and other groups that are involved to promote the development of in Africa and next change as well. Yes. So it's really a pleasure. As we all know, blockchain is the future of the world, and especially in Africa. And in African Union, we have what we call the Agenda 2063, which is for an integrated, peaceful, and prosperous Africa. We cannot speak about an integrated if we don't speak about technology, if we don't speak about blockchain, if we don't speak about how technology can empower young Africans as well as women. So the head of state and government put this subject and topic as a main goal for Africa, because it starts with the blockchain, it starts with human rights promotion, it starts with peace and security in order to make sure that Africa is developed appropriately. So with few statistics, Africans, according to the statistic, we are almost 1 and 2 billion population. And from the 1 and 2 billion population, over 60% of Africans do not have access to bank. They don't have access to bank services. But when you see the statistics as well, over 80% of Africans have access to mobile phone. So you see the paradigm. Over 80% of Africans have access to mobile phone, but over 60% don't have access to bank facilities. So which means it's a huge challenge that we need to tackle. And the blockchain and the technology, it's more than welcome in terms of allowing our people to be empowered and to make sure that they are well connected. And if our people are empowered and they are well connected, they have access to internet and to blockchain, they can also be the promoters of peace in Africa, because technology, we always believe, can play a major role in promoting human rights, in promoting peace and security, in terms of conflict resolution, even conflict mediation. If we can capitalize on the growing of technology, I think we can make a lot of effort and a lot of improvement in promoting human rights, development of the continent, and also in promoting the Africa we want. So one of the aspects in regards to evolution, as we know, of money started with the exchange of physical goods, and we shifted from the exchange of physical goods to the first usage of precious metals, and then we shifted to the establishment of paper money that we are the fiat money that we are currently using. And nowadays, the people are more concerned in transfer, in technology. And we think as the world has improved from the exchange of goods and services in the old time, Africa also needs to improve. So we need also to get involved in promoting the blockchain system and also in promoting the transfer capabilities of the people. And in that way, this kind of seminar that you have initiated is more than welcome, and we need to have more kind of this one in order to make sure that we go to the grassroots level to teach them, to empower Africans on the necessities of having the new technology and using it, and use it especially as a tool to promote human rights and also to promote peace and security on the continent. So one of the advantages that I always said for the blockchain, and also the contribution that blockchain can bring to Africa in terms of human rights, in terms of achieving the Africa we want, is that blockchain, we believe, can contribute to the flagship project of the African Union, especially in early warning. We can use the blockchain, we can use the technology, the access to technology as a tool to promote conflict prevention in Africa, and also to promote the early warning system in Africa, because with a phone, with the data are available, we can be able to reach Africans at grassroots level, at communities level, in order to teach them on the needs of promoting human rights, but also promoting peace and security. And I think the technology, the blockchain can play an instrumental role in providing technical support to the field, and in order to make sure that human rights and peace and security are duly promoted. I also think, in my view, that the technology can also play an important role, especially blockchain, in peacemaking and mediation, and in which they can assist through the technology. People can use the technology to assist and advise on mediation. You don't need nowadays to go to be physical, but through internet, through cell phone, with data, you can solve community problems. We can solve humanitarian problems. So blockchain can play a key role in peacemaking and mediation, also in peacekeeping, and also in building peace and post-conflict reconstruction. So we welcome the new technology, especially in ECOSOCC. We really want our people to own those technologies. We really want to popularize, and it's part of our mandate to popularize whatever can make sure that Africans get involved and get benefit and profit from that. So blockchain can play a key role, a pivotal role, not only for the promotion of human rights, but also for a peaceful Africa that we call from that we call, and also in training, because CSO, civil society organization, can use those platforms to allow them to be trained, organizing training sessions as you have done. So we can have more training sessions through electronic media, through access to technology, and also to have workshops to impact skills and knowledge on peace building, human rights for specific parties, and also to make sure that we prevent conflict. So to add again, we think it can play another major role in monitoring and impact assessment For example, in countries like GRC, where there are a lot of effort that are being done together, the African Union and the government of GRC. I think the blockchain, the technology system can help us to monitor the process that is going on in GRC or in the Sahel region, or even the Great Lake region, the Chad Lake Basin region, to monitor what is happening there, to monitor what is happening there in terms of human rights, in terms of prevention, management, and reconstruction of conflict. So we must use the blockchain system, we must use the technology, the internet access in order to promote the Africa we want, to promote peace and security, and to play it can play a role in advocacy, in publicity, in doing follow-up of the head of state and government decision, in technical support, and also in making sure that civil society are involved. So I think we must have this kind of initiative more often so that we can make sure that our people on the process, the civil society, are empowered into the usage of technology, and to make sure that we become the agent of technology, because we cannot speak about human rights, we cannot speak about peace without technology. All of that goes together. All of that goes on the same direction. So once there is a development of technology where African youth, African women are empowered, then they can become entrepreneurs in terms of technology, then peace will be viable, human right will be something that we can touch base. So to conclude, as we don't have a lot of time, I think this initiative is a great initiative which we need to have more, and then we can use it as a tool to support the promotion of and develop the promotion of human rights, the development of the civil society and our countries, and also the promotion of peace and security in our continent. I thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Thank you very much for your kind remarks in your exceptional presentation. Thank you very much. Let me conclude from all our panelists that from what I can understand, building sustainable development goals, integrating human development in environmental sustainability, but combining human developments and environmental objective is firmly on our agenda. And as all of you have said, people-centered. That's our goal. Poverty eradication, changing and sustainable in promoting sustainable patterns or of consumptions in production, protecting and managing the natural resources based on economic and social development. What you thought of that for 2 minutes? We start with Miss Linda. Miss Linda, are you there?
Sorry, Mr. Khalid, you may have to repeat your question again. This thing is
Okay.
a bit on. Sorry.
Okay. Combined development in environmental objective is firmly on our agenda. People-centered, as all of you had said, poverty eradication, changing and sustainable and promoting sustainable patterns of consumptions in the production, protecting and managing the natural resources based off economic and social development. What's your thought of that, Madam Linda?
Okay.
2 minutes.
First of all, I would like to quote Kofi Annan when he says that, and I would like to quote him here. He says, "We will not enjoy security without development. We will not enjoy development without security, and we will not enjoy either of them without the respect for human rights." Now, all of this discussion we are having is about people and development, and yes, protection of human rights. How are we doing this? from our little corners, we are trying. We know that from the country level, there's a constitution to help us to do this. We know that at the regional level, where I belong to ECOWAS, there are legal declarations that we're using to uphold this. At the African Union level and at the United Nations level, there are lots of rules, policies, and declarations that are helping us to do this. However, there are clear challenges. There are clear challenges. So how do we think we can tackle these challenges? For me, it is a good way to go. And for me, Kofi Annan's citation summarizes all of this. And thank you very much for the opportunity to bring us together to think about these things and to make recommendations on the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hagar, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you've asked a very hard question to answer. You've just put in your hand on the most crucial expressions: development, environment, human resources, and managing. So if I may say that talking about the environment would have, like, we will spend lots of time talking about the environment, but as I mentioned, if you're talking and merging or connecting between the three main keywords, human rights, sustainable development, and technology, environment is just in the middle of each one of them. And nothing can be achieved without the people-centered and without the human resources. And above all of those, we need very wise management in order to develop or to walk in a parallel way with all those challenges that the African continent is now facing. So the connection between all those topics is vital. And what we need actually is a very clear plan as a continent, an African plan together to move forward as a continent to reach all those aims. And thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be with you in this panel.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Roll, Mr. Chair, what you thought of that?
Yeah, thank you again for the good question that you have asked. I think human is central to everything. Human is central to security. Human is central to environment. Human is central to whatever development as a whole. So we have to put human as a key actor in the center of all the process that we can undertake, because we must make sure that we own the process, but not only own the process, but we become also the implementers of those processes. Because without us owning the process and becoming the implementers of those processes, nothing can happen. So I think we must place, first of all, human being in the center of everything, and we must make sure that humans are empowered in order to deal in terms of natural resource management, in terms of environment, in terms of security, in terms of human rights. So we have to put human in the center of any process with regards to development, with regards to peace, with regards to security. And we must focus mostly on the empowerment of youth and of women, because they are the basics of development as well. We cannot talk about peace without including women. We cannot talk about development even without including women and youth. So we must put the agenda of women and youth in the center of promoting technology, in the center of promoting development, in the center of promoting human rights and even peace. So we must have a positive approach of development. We can say a positive discrimination of approach of development, in which we must emphasize on women and youth, and make sure that human being as a person are in the center of any development, and are also in the center of any promotion of security and human rights. So to conclude for your question, we must make sure that we all become the agents for development, the agents to popularize technology, to popularize the human right, and we must educate our communities. Our communities need to be educated on the way forward in terms of development. We must also make sure that our communities are trained appropriately in promoting development. If each of us own the process, if each of us implement the process, we will then have a prosperous Africa, as our head of state and government always called for. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and ladies, for your participation, for investing your time with us. I think in behalf of our Marita group and Exchange and Morocco National Chapter, we thank you for your participation. And hopefully we can follow this edition live in the 28th, 29th, in the first of the month, July. So until then, I hope to see you soon. And thanks again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.